Welcome to Week 1 of eCALLMS Science Inquiry. This week we'll be exploring open-ended pre-assessments. This week we'll be asking the question, how can open-ended pre-assessments inform me of my learners' assets in language and science? For bilingual learners, we are looking for three types of performance. First, we notice their language abilities in both English and their home language. Next, we look at their assets in terms of collaboration with peers, critical thinking, and the process skills needed to do science research. Finally, we look at the student's science content knowledge. The most challenging part here is that you must become an expert kid watcher. Pre-assessment is all about watching your students to recognize their strengths. There may be a time and place for traditional content-focused assessments, but a diverse science classroom with many cultures and languages is not the place. Fortunately, there are many alternatives to traditional assessments, which will highlight the strengths of your bilingual learners. Let's compare and contrast a few traditional assessments with more open-ended, non-traditional assessments. This is a pre-assessment that comes from BioEd. Take a moment to scan the questions. Now think about how this assessment will help you know more about your learners' language use, critical thinking, and science content. In terms of language use, think both in terms of English and the native language. This assessment may or may not let you know about reading levels in English. It may or may not let you know about vocabulary, such as evaporates, substances, dissolve. It may or may not let you know about students' familiarity with multiple choice format. It does not tell you about native language at all. In terms of critical thinking, collaboration, and process skills, it tells very little about these, and remember this is what we want to emphasize with inquiry-based science and bilingual learners. Finally, about science content, it may or may not let you know about discrete pieces of information. Next, let's consider why this is especially not useful for understanding the assets of our bilingual learners. The same curriculum offers a more open-ended assessment in which students must list reasons why water is important. Looking at the teacher's manual for this assessment, we see a sample answer which is comprised of a list of facts about water's importance. For example, human beings are about 67% water, and water is needed to transport nutrients and oxygen throughout living organisms. This open-ended question is not so open if the assessor is looking for these specific points in an answer. What if a student instead wrote, "Water is important because then you can cry. The tears flow from your soul." In this example, the author did not hit the key points of the model answer, but what can we tell about this student? Let's look at another example, this time a matching assessment. Compare the individual matching assessment to a pre-assessment where students work in pairs or in groups to predict the meaning of words. Watching students complete this exercise, what will you as a teacher be able to learn about students in terms of their language use, critical thinking, collaboration, and process skills, and their science content knowledge? Looking at an example of a vocabulary prediction exercise done in a classroom, you can imagine some of the information available to this teacher. During this week's Explore, you will have three options to continue to explore pre-assessment for bilinguals.